So if you're going to do vending, I like non-product vending. There's weight machines you can purchase. There's grip testers, punch tests, breathalyzers, and all of these ideals, by the way, work excellent in bars and nightclubs and places like that. All you have to do is get an agreement where, especially this breathalyzer, that's a good one. All you have to do is get an agreement. Sometimes the merchant will want a percentage of the profit. Sometimes they won't. It really depends. There's money games, water machines. Um, that basically you see those around supermarkets, and basically you just plug into the water, and they basically have your regular tap water, and they filter it, and people they put the money in the machine. They bring their own bottles, and they fill the machines, and you make money in the machine because it's filtered water that you're selling basically. Then you have the air and water machines that you typically have at gas stations and places like that. These are all excellent opportunities. So personally, non-product vending is what I prefer if you're going to do vending. Now, here's the big one. Here's the big one. This is one that I love. ATM vending. Okay. ATM vending, a lot of people don't think about that or realize the potential in it, but yet and still we've all come across ATM machines. Most of us have used ATM machines. ATM machines are actually, this is the vending business, actually, believe it or not. A lot of people don't understand that. And basically what you're doing is you're recycling money. And one thing I want to say about ATM vending, which is another business I am involved in, is that location is the first and primary thing you need to think about. In fact, it's one of the first things you need to do. So before you even start thinking about whether or not you have the money to buy the machine or to put in the machine, first thing you need to do is think about location. Because if you get the right location, if you can get a location agreement, everything else can easily fall into place. And yes, I did say easily. It's a relatively low investment. You can buy a machine you can buy these machines these days for less than $2,000. That's right, for less than $2,000, you can purchase a modern ATM machine. Now, there was a time where purchasing an ATM machine was very difficult, and more likely people would lease them because they would cost, $18,000, $20,000, $30,000 for an ATM machine. Now they're a lot less expensive and a lot more efficient. Okay, so basically it is a low investment business. Now, a lot of people are thinking, okay, now an ATM machine may basically hold various amounts of cash. Many of them will hold as little as 1,000. Some hold 1,800 or 2,000 bills, basically. Okay, so if you've got a machine that holds even 1,000 bills and you're dispensing 20s, that's $20,000. Okay, so obviously if it's holding 2,000 bills, now you're talking $40,000. So that scares people away. They say, wait a minute, maybe I could buy. This is what they think. This is how people think. They say maybe I could purchase an ATM machine for a few $1,000s, but I don't have $20,000 to fill an ATM machine. First of all, who says you have to fill the machine? That's a lot of people don't understand. You could put as little as $1,000 or $2,000 in the machine initially. The only problem with that is you're going to have to keep going back to the machine to refill the machine. Let me explain to you how that works basically. When you own an ATM machine and you have a location, number one, let me go to the next screen. We're going to talk about the money. Number one, all of the transaction fees, and you set the transaction fee. You could charge a dime if you want to. In other words, they use the ATM machine. You're basically getting the money. Let me explain how it works. This is your machine. You own this machine. You get it placed in a location. It could be a restaurant, a fast food location. It could be a gas station, a nightclub, wherever, a strip club, which are excellent, by the way, a casino. Wherever there's an ATM machine that's needed, you negotiate, and sometimes you don't have to pay anything, other times you do. Now, technically, here's what's happening. A lot of people don't understand this. You own this machine, and you also own the cash that's in this machine. People think this is high-tech banking, but it's really not. These are private transactions between you and the people that slide their card in this machine, and they basically the machine is verifying that they have a legitimate bank account and they have the money in the bank account they're trying to withdraw. Okay, so by them sliding their card in your machine, it's sort of like they're writing a check to you, and you're giving them the cash for the check, and then you take their check back to their bank and you take the cash back plus their $3 transaction fee. So if they put their card in your machine to withdraw $40, the machine lets them know your transaction fee is going to be $3, which is what I charge. There are some machines where you can do it for like $1, $1.50, or $2.25. Mine is just flat $3. So, and some of them charge as much as $5, $6, or $7 in some premium locations like strip clubs and casinos and places like that. But to me, $3 is fine. But basically, they slide their card in your machine. Your machine verifies that they have a legitimate bank account that has that cash in it, and your machine spits out the $20 they want, and it creates a debit against their bank account for the $20 plus your $3 transaction fee. So next time they go to their bank, okay, I'm sorry, $40 or whatever amount it is. It could be $20, but let's say $40. So your ATM machine creates a debit against their bank account for the $40 they got out of your machine plus a $3 transaction fee. So the next time they go to their bank account, it's going to be minus the $40 they withdrew from your machine, plus also minus the $3 that they agreed to on that transaction fee. And the same day, your bank account, your separate bank account, wherever you ordered that the money to go to, will be deposited, and this is all done electronically, hands-free, into your bank account will be deposited the $40 plus the $3 transaction fee. Okay, so eventually, let's say you only put $1,000 in this machine. Now, typically, nationwide, the average transaction is for $60. Many machines allow you to withdraw as much as $300 or $400 per transaction, but the average withdrawal is for $60. Keep that in mind. That's average. Okay, and sometimes they do $20 transactions and they still pay the $3 transaction fee, which I think is ridiculous, but yet it happens, and that's good for you. But let's say that you only put $1,000 in the machine. Okay, and after a couple of days, and by the way, electronically, you can use the internet or even your cell phone to know how much money is in your machine at any time. So you'll know when you need to fill it. So you find out your machine is running low on cash. And let's say you started with $1,000, $2,000. I would never suggest you use as little as $1,000, but let's just say you did for the sake of argument. And you find there's no more money in your bank account after you take the $1,000 out and you fill this machine. So you find out electronically through your cell phone that this machine is low on cash and you need to refill it. So you say, wow, I took all the money I had, which is $1,000, to put it in the machine, put it in the machine. Now there's almost no more money in the machine. There's only like $100 left. That'll probably be gone tomorrow, you know. And the worst thing is for someone to go there and try to withdraw $200 and your machine doesn't have enough money. That makes you look very tacky. Okay, you don't want that. So you might say, wow, where am I going to get more money to put in this machine? Well, the truth of the matter is, when they make this transaction, you give them the money from your ATM machine right now, immediately, in real time. Okay, the transaction is created against their bank account, which takes the same money out of their bank account and transfers it to your bank account. It doesn't happen in real time the same day, but within 24 hours, the money that they took out of your ATM machine will be back in your bank account. So if you initially put $1,000 in it and you find out that there's only $100 left, you can go to your bank 9 times out of 10 and that same $1,000 plus $3 for each transaction will be back in your account. So you basically recycle that money. You take the money back out of your machine again, and you put it back in, out of your bank account, you put it back in the machine. Like I said, I would never recommend you start with as little as $1,000. You should start with at least a few $1,000, because you don't want to have to be doing this all the time. And if your machine's several busy, $1,000 won't even last you one day. So unless you want to make a full-time job out of that. Now, you might say, do I want to make a full-time job out of having just one ATM machine? Well, let's think about that. Let's just say that you start off with very little money. How much money can you make? Okay. Let's say you get 10 uses per day. So over the course of a month, if you're getting just 10 uses per day at $3 per transaction, that's actually $30 per day. This is the mistake here. And over the course of a month, that's $900 a month for one ATM machine. Remember, you only paid $2,000 for this machine. So you're making $900 a month with a terrible, sucky location. Because if you're only getting 10 uses a day, which is $30 per day, that's not a great location. That's a terrible location. Okay? It's all about location and traffic. Now, what about traffic and location? The fact of the matter is that the industry averages that about 5% of the traffic in an establishment that comes in close proximity to an ATM machine will use that ATM machine. So basically, you need a well-trafficked location, particularly one where there is a good reason where a lot of people will be looking for cash. Let's go to the next one. Okay, now this is more accurate. Let's say that you have a decent location. Now this is more than decent. This is actually pretty good. And in states like, in well-populated areas, places like California, New York, Chicago, this is reasonable. In some small towns, it's unheard of that you can get 50 uses per day consistently from an ATM machine. You know, you've only got 100 people in that whole town. It's very unlikely that's going to happen. So basically, if we get a location that does 50 transactions a day, now that's $3 per transaction. That comes to $150 per day, which is $4,500 a month. $4,500 per month. In this business, it's all about the location and the traffic. 5% of the traffic that comes in close proximity to an ATM machine uses the ATM machine. That's the national average based on research. So obviously, a well-trafficked location is going to be better, and there are certain types of establishments and venues which are going to be even better still. Okay? Now, if you can purchase an ATM machine for a couple of $1,000s, just put a couple of $1,000s in it to get started. We're talking about being able to create an income, a passive income, with as little as a $3,000 or $4,000 investment. Okay, obviously, if you don't put much money in the machine, you're going to have to go back on a regular basis to keep that machine filled, and that's the primary thing you're going to be doing, is recycling the money, and again, getting your transaction fee and making your money that way. So it's all about the number of transactions you can get from a machine on a regular basis.